In 2019, the Japanese artist Yayoi Kusama's exhibition came to the High Museum for a few months. Does anybody remember that? The work that stuck with me the most was her piece, Infinity Mirrored Room, the souls of millions of light years away. The High Museum described it as an immersive environment that fosters an out-of-body experience, heightens one's senses, and produces a repetitive illusion through the use of lights and mirrors. Similar in appearance to stars in the galaxy, hundreds of LED lights hang and flicker in a rhythmic pattern that seems to suspend both space and time. The visitor, that's you or me, then becomes integral to this work as their body activates the environment while simultaneously vanishing into the infinite space. This installation creates a harmonious, quiet place for visitors to contemplate their existence, reflect on the passage of time, and think about their relationship to the outer world. Now, the actual experience was one of being rushed through after standing in a 2-hour line sometimes, or keeping track of wayward children who were trying to break everything, or suffering through various people's desires for selfies. But I remember two opposing feelings rose to the surface for me. Even in those precious few moments of full presence, I was both enchanted and intimidated at the same time. I wanted to stay forever. I wanted to exit as quickly as possible. I mean, that's all I needed, really, was to be faced with a million me's. There's a desire to flee in those moments from the image reflected back to you, the image of you. But this is the truth, isn't it? There is space, the eternal, and you. You are there too. You are made of stardust. You are connected to the infinite. You are beloved and beautifully made. I did not say perfectly made. Not perfect. You are in formation, always forming. No matter your age. I mean, this is what we mean when we talk about transformation. But if you are to grow, to change, to adapt, and transform throughout your life, well, you must first look into the hall of mirrors. We have to see ourselves more clearly, not only in our own reflection, but in the eyes of others. Now, imagine this room of mirrors, but this time each one is held up by all of your acquaintances, your colleagues, your family members, your children, the strangers you encounter along your day, all holding in their hands little mirrors to show you a more complete image of yourself. And I know others exist in their own right. They have thoughts and feelings that also have nothing to do with you. But what I mean is that other people are the means by which your self-awareness is tested. The truth is, we never really leave the sandbox. In relationship, we tussle, we play, we connect, we get hurt, we learn, we adjust, we grow. Have you ever known anyone who was a mindful, meditative person with love in their heart for humankind in general? But when they encountered specific humans, they were often domineering or self-serving or just unattentive to the cause of justice or the suffering of others in their midst. I mean, the fact is, you cannot be rude to your waiter and expect to reach enlightenment. The work of I'm joking, but I'm very serious. I'm serious. The work of self-knowledge and awareness is measured in terms of your relationships. This is really not an epiphany of the self spinning out into space, but one that is centered in community right here on earth. One of the first things the Buddha did after his awakening was to form a community, a sangha. Originally, it was composed of monks, but later included nuns and lay people. As time went on, a large and well-organized community of followers formed, who all lived a middle way lifestyle, neither indulging in sensual pleasures nor tormenting themselves with strict austerities. The Buddha instructed these followers with discourses on his teachings, which they memorized, as was custom in the pre-literal age, guiding them in ethical behavior, training their minds through meditation, and helping each other develop insight. The adventure towards self-awareness is never done alone, and it never ends. Gibran wrote in The Prophet, "The soul walks not upon a line, neither does it grow like a reed. The soul unfolds itself like a lotus of countless petals." I'm here to tell you therapy can offer helpful reflection. In fact, it's a part of that self-awareness work. The therapeutic process is not one linear experience. It's not a race to win or even a singular wound to heal from. It is a journey without end. Like the labyrinth many of you walked in this room last Sunday, you always go deeper, strengthening your self-awareness, noticing how you respond and react. Then this awareness opens possibilities to respond differently next time. To notice if you become annoyed or dismissive, fight or flight, or if you pursue something that is not pursuing you in return. The Buddha organized his journey within around eradicating 3 toxins of the heart and mind: greed, hatred, and delusion. That was the greatest toxin. The delusion that society is more stable than it actually is, or that balance will somehow be achieved without our action to make it so. Or the ways racism, sexism, homophobia, and oppression can delude our ability to see and know even our true selves and our capabilities. The New York Times culture writer Melissa Kirch has a special policy on New Year's resolutions during this time, this season of self-reflection, that they should never be too punishing and they should also never be too grand. We often use a resolution as a cudgel, as a method to get ourselves back in line, a means of eradicating the parts of ourselves we don't like. David Sedaris, the writer, has written about how every New Year's Eve he had watched his mother scribbling furiously on a bunch of index cards. And after her death, he discovered that she'd written the same thing on each one: be good. That's a good encapsulation of all resolutions, isn't it? Be good. Resolutions tend to be freighted with the implication that the way you are now is not good, or at least not good enough. And in fact, when I did engage with some of the protesters down the street, that is also what they told me, that we are not born good. We are not good. My resolutions are typically of this variety: self-criticism disguised as self-improvement. This is a lovely alarm that's going off, and I'm just going to, wow, they're like everywhere all of a sudden. Yeah, I know. There's some kind of, I know. I think I'm going to wait just a second till that. Happy New Year! I know. So my resolutions are typically of this variety: self-criticism disguised as self-improvement. If your resolution seems architected by someone who doesn't like you, there is still time to reconsider it. And time is an important feature of this renewal business. We think it all comes down to one moment, one strike of the clock at midnight. Now, I don't know about you, but typically by the time I arrive to New Year's, I am worn out by all the holiday planning, feasting, arranging, and I arrive to the new year, the end of the year, incapable of meeting the pressure of a single moment. I don't always make it to that threshold, and in fact, this year I slept right through it. But I think of the new year not as the single slam of a heavy door, but instead as a long corridor, a passageway one walks through, sometimes tiptoeing, occasionally on piping hot coals, sometimes just wandering into a mysterious, darkened future. And I have come to embrace this deep winter time as a whole New Year season, from the winter solstice until the Lunar New Year. So I just want to give you some spaciousness and relief of time right now, if you don't have it figured out yet. It's okay. At the winter solstice, I take time to write down who I've lost and what I've left behind in the previous year, wind at my back, slowly gathering momentum. Since 2020, I've noticed more losses each year. And then I slow it all down for about 6 weeks, spend the short days lingering over a warm drink, light candles against the night, notice the winter light of a languishing sunset or a creeping sunrise. I observe the stars and planets twinkling out there, persevering in the deepest dark. Submerge my body in warm water as much as I can. Find moments of ease and depth amidst the muscle tension that comes with cold temperatures or the pressure for a perfect holiday tradition. Release what needs to be released somewhere around now, early January. Name it out loud with a witness. Around the fireworks best, but you don't need it. Notice and observe a while. Where are you? What is needed? What poetry and songs are people sharing in their year-end lists? What stories are they telling about where life is taking them, where it's taking all of us? Travel if you can and become inspired by someone else's interior design or life choices. Root down into some kind of a daily practice during this 6 weeks, be it yoga, journaling, breathing, meditation, running, hiking, but do it every day, from solstice to Lunar New Year if you can. If you can do this, I assure you, towards the end of January, something will call out to you. A word, an animal maybe, a skill, a belief, a relationship, a risk, a change. Something a little scary, a little confusing. Shore up support within. Yeah, do those personality inventories. Reflect with a therapist. Pray if you do that. Gather strength. By the time we hit the Lunar New Year, it's like you have brewed a potion of intention and power, and you'll know now where you are going, and you'll know what you need. All you'll need then is a little grace for your own discovery process and someone to tell it to. And that's it. That's the whole winter resolution process. And the new intention will be real to you, and you will be ready for it. So, Happy New Year season, and relax. You've got plenty of time. And even as I say this, I know many of us have walked through fire this winter. We have suffered a health scare, a great and sudden loss, a devastating disappointment, a difficult epiphany, or a disorienting malaise. The year turned without our permission, and we may not feel ready to face another year, another election, or the major life transition that may be on the horizon, or the total solar eclipse coming in April, or the monumental work that is ours to do. So it can be nice to have a survival guide. How to have a good year. Annie Dillard writes, "How we spend our days is how we spend our lives." So, what makes a good day? Again, a day consists of hours. So this is really about how you spend your time, how you spend your days. My suggestion is to spend the majority of it in real life. Real stores, real people, real conversations. I mean, the smartphone is a lovely instrument of dissociation. When you can't muster the energy to socialize or you'd rather be elsewhere. But it's intruding into our thoughts. It's intruding upon our connectedness without us even realizing it. I mean, you might be surprised, even when I get together with colleagues, Unitarian ministers, how many of them are all sitting at the same table on their phones. The smartphone is an instrument of delusion, and I feel sure the Buddha would have deemed our smartphones one of the 3 great toxins of our lives. And there is much we would rather sleep through or escape if we could, I know, but a good life requires our presence and our attention to see things clearly. Now that you've put your phone down, I feel like there were a lot of phones out today. Hopefully you put your phone down now. Let's think about what our days could include in the pursuit of the good. Okay, this is my thesis. So I think it can include 4 things: pleasure, health, action, reflection. Pleasure. Each day, include a moment of pleasure without judgment, a great meal you make for yourself, a beautiful walk, a good novel, a longer shower. I don't believe in guilty pleasures. You'll never hear me use that phrase. I believe in pleasure, just a little every day. Health. Each day, give time to attend to your wellness. Perhaps today you make that eye doctor appointment, or you splurge on the good lotion. You go to the salon that offers the hot towels with your shave. You buy the insoles today. You go to therapy. Attend to your wellness every day. Action. Each day, you take some kind of action to protect democracy. You do something to bring about justice. Each and every day. Yes, you can clap. Do it. Each day, you write an email to your congressperson, or you help someone research their source a little better in the service of truth. Truth which is under greater assault each and every day. If someone shares an article with you, rather than believe them without question, you check their sources, friends. You read past the headline. You think critically. Invite someone to a protest. Attend a school board meeting, although you don't have young children. Action. And finally, each and every day, reflect. Look back to reconsider your words and actions. Maybe it's through a journal or prayer time, and you ask yourself the question, how have I been in service to love today? How have I been in service to love, that's capital L, love today? When was I selfish? When was I overly critical? When was I judgmental? When was I stuck in my thinking? These are not resolutions, not really. This is a practice. I'm talking about a practice. And the good news about a practice of self-awareness is that if you get it wrong, it's just practice. You try again. That's why they call it a practice. The year is unwritten, anything can happen. Don't make the possibility of great triumph into an absurdity. Maybe Mark and Ann will make their album this year. If we joke about it, it may become true. Think grander, dream bigger now. The possibilities of this year are as infinite as a room of mirrors, where you can see yourself as a source of beauty and possibility, as someone who has done wonderful and terrible things and is still in formation, who still has more to learn, who can receive honest feedback with grace and use it to walk the path of the soul and say, I have not found the truth, but I have found a truth. And that is enough. Amen.